This is our 12th one. I spent the most time reflecting on you and putting this together. I changed it. I was like going in this direction and then that direction. And now I get it. It makes sense to me. I couldn't on it.
I've never shared it, not because it was like a secret, but then with her passing, I've really been reflecting on her and just wanted to share that with you.
Hi, everybody.
Why am I spending so much time? And it's because I've been reflecting on you and you've been doing that, and that's a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to see everybody. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Mary Lee. Hi, Karen, John Hickey, Michelle, Raleigh. Hi. Shelly, so nice to see you. Melissa, Joy. I have to say something about Joy, who has her video off right now, but Joy Wallman is one of our moms. And after our last lunch and learn, Joy texted me and sent me a picture of a stroller that she had in her garage and offered it to me for the new baby that's coming. So I went and picked it up from Joy's house on Sunday, and Joy was super sweet. She had a gift for Brecken, because he's going to be a big brother, and a little fire truck for him that he's been playing with nonstop. Joy, he loves it. It's a little bit of a hazard in the bath because it squirts at me, but other than that, he loves it all the time. But I just had to say a little thank you to Joy to everyone. Hi, Otto and Shelly. So nice to see you. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We have about 20 people joining us today, but they'll come in. I want to keep this on time. So welcome to everyone to our 12th Lunch and Learn, which is crazy to think that we've already done 12 of these now. Since March, since shelter in place went into effect. Actually, no, since April. We didn't launch this till April. Just a few rules. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view through the presentation. Sharing your video is optional, although we do love to see your beautiful faces. If you would like to, we'll take a group shot at the end. So at the end, if you want to share your video, that's great. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. Heidi Moker is our guest speaker today. She's going to be interacting with you in a different way, but we'll definitely have time at the end for Q&A. So if you have any questions or comments that come up during our conversation, just put it in the chat bar. I want to give you a quick update to what Autism Tree has been doing. We're almost at 300,000 people reached, just over 286,000 since shelter in place went into effect through our social media channels. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of it, LinkedIn that we use. It's incredible. We just see this number keep ticking up and up. Our posts have been shared almost 500 times, 490 times on our Facebook page. We now have nearly 200 videos on our YouTube channel, which is crazy. And actually, 124 of those videos have been posted since March 12th. So it's an insane amount of content that we've been producing and pumping out with our amazing team that Rebecca leads. Our Reading with Autism Tree series, we now have 27 videos that we've done, and that alone.
Thank you, Shelly.
30,000 people.
You might want to think about getting your laundry started.
Also, the last thing I want to share is that we have now done 70 virtual events to date, and we have 18 events coming up. That's since the end of March. 17 of our 20 programs have been virtual. We've been able to make them virtual during this time. And we are officially having our first in-person event, which is very exciting. It's our 6th annual Bridge to the Beach summer camp. We do it every summer. We did not think we were going to be able to do it this year because of COVID and because of the beaches being shut down in San Diego. But we just got confirmation from the lifeguards, the city of San Diego, that we're going to be able to do it. And we're going to have groups of kids that are 6 kids at a time for the whole week for our week-long summer camp. So we're really excited about that. We officially announced it this morning and we're already sold out. We already have a long wait list. Rebecca was getting texts and emails all morning from our families who want their kids to sign up. I mean, it's so desperately needed for our families to get out of the house for a bit. So all that being said, welcome to our 12th Lunch and Learn. I'm going to pass it over to Dana Hoff, who is our volunteer executive director and founder. And she's going to introduce our special guest speaker today, Heidi Moker.
Hi, ATPF family. So great to see you. I can't believe it's July 1st. I want everyone to give yourself a huge, huge, huge pat on your back. And really every single one of these lunch and learns, I thought it was really important to tell you that each of us have 724 billion cells in our bodies that make us unique. And I just always want to like bold and underline that, how awesome that is, how important that is, and how that really does speak to how we are here 16 years later, I think, is that Autism Tree as a family, we are constantly bringing out the best of each other. And the uniquenesses that we have are what make us the best that we can be, the most powerful that we can be. And I think the biggest surprise to me during this whole COVID-19 and shelter in place is, as much as we're all very challenged, exhausted, stretched, I feel we're more connected, certainly as an Autism Tree team, than we've ever been. And I feel these lunch and learns, that's happening. And part of it is for you to type in each time, adding to the conversation, that I get to see you, hear your voice, and then Rebecca's been doing an incredible job on the follow-ups after. So it really brings our time together to life, and we can go back and look at it. And I keep learning from each one. I want to tell you guys that I go back and I think about what made it have more connection. And one of them is, I'd like to ask you a question. What is your personal mantra been during shelter in place? And please type it in, because this is how I'm seeing more connection during lunch and learns. And I'd like to share mine right now. I am guided by my heart intelligence. That is definitely my mantra. And it took me a little bit to reflect on Heidi. Heidi is definitely one of our most involved volunteers at Autism Tree Project in 16 years. And so it makes sense why it was taking me quite a long time to really reflect on Heidi and then just think about this introduction and all of it. And then, so I had started in a couple different directions, but I definitely came to this heart-centered, and it just started feeling like this is 100% the direction. So I will share with you that we always do a pre-call before with each speaker. And it really made sense to me when Heidi shared her connection and how she came to Autism Tree was from my mother-in-law, Todd's mother, Kathleen Lapuma Hoffmore, was her connection. And it was a really, really beautiful story. And when Heidi told me that, it helped me understand why I've been spending so much time on everything that I'm going to share with you in this introduction. So I'm dedicating it to you, Heidi, and I'm very, very, very blessed. I didn't know any of what you told me about how Kathy brought you to Autism Tree, and that's something I for sure will cherish on top of already cherishing you. So I'm going to show you a video. It's about 3 minutes, and it's about heart intelligence. And I'm super interested if any of you have something you want to type in. What sort of jumped out for me in this is that I already know that's the essence of how I lead Autism Tree. It's heart connections. And I feel everyone, when they describe meeting each other, like Rebecca on our ATPF team talked to me about when she had the heart connection with Heidi, what they had done together. And there's just so much power in it. But I also think sometimes I myself feel I'm not centered sometimes, or I get really strung out about certain things. Certain people might set me off about. In this video, it's talking about how you can really grow if you work on that to keep you more solid in the big challenges by centering more on your heart. It's the power of that. So I'm interested to see what takeaways you have from this too.
Most of us have had the experience of being in the presence of another person, or even a place of business sometimes, where we just have a sense, a feeling that something's off. So now we're able to put science behind that. We really understand why this is happening, or on the other hand, why it can feel really good to be around certain people. So for example, when you go to the doctor's office and they put electrodes across your chest to measure your heartbeat, your electrocardiogram, what you're measuring there is the flow of electricity. That's why it's called the electrocardiogram. It's the electricity produced by the heart. We know from basic physics that whenever you have a flow of current, you also create what's called a magnetic field. The same kind of field around a magnet, like you stick on your refrigerator. Magnetic fields are unique in that they tend to go through things, they penetrate. That's why a cell phone will work inside of a building. In fact, the cell phone is a great analogy for what I'm talking about here. So we use the magnetic field between our cell phone and the tower to carry the information, the photograph that you just took, or the conversation you're having, or the text message. It's all being carried by the field. So what I'm saying here is we work the same way. The magnetic fields that are produced, especially by the heart, is a carrier of information, especially about our emotional state. So that was step one. We can actually decode that information. And so anger or frustration looks very different, the information being carried, than if we're in a state of love or appreciation, compassion, kindness, and so on. The next step then was to find and show that we're also antennas. Our nervous systems are like a big receiving antenna, kind of like back to our cell phone, receiving the signal. So we can detect that information in other people's fields. And not only that, not only do we detect it, it actually has measurable effects on us. So for example, if we're in the presence or a room full of people who are really upset and kind of negative or have, cynical attitudes and so on, that actually has a measurable impact on us. It drains our energy, puts us into a more incoherent state, unless we've really learned to maintain our own center, even in the presence of those fields, which most people haven't yet. So one series of experiments showed that when people are in a more heart coherent state, which is the state we're naturally in when we're more loving or appreciative, these positive states, that actually has a measurable impact on other people that helps them shift into a more coherent state, even if they don't know what's going on. They're naive to the experiment. Now, this is important in our interactions with other people. So for example, if a family member or a close friend, maybe even a lover, is having a bad day, having a hard day, maybe frazzled, or they got some news that's upsetting, one of the best things we can possibly do to help them is to really maintain our inner state, our inner composure, be in that more coherent heart state. And we do that by truly accessing more love or compassion or kindness for them. And that creates our field to be more coherent, which helps lift them so they can find their composure or their balance much quicker.
I'm not proposing everyone to read the book. I haven't read it, but I just, was inspired, and a lot of what they said. Is your screen showing what mine is? I was really inspired when I watched it because I thought, I feel that most of the time, that being coherent when I'm having a heart connection with someone. We've built Autism Tree literally one family, one heartbeat at a time. And you can hopefully a lot of times feel that even on our Lunch and Learn. But what really I thought was interesting is the part about when you're not coherent. And why are you not coherent? Because you're not having that heart connection. And then I know I can't be centered during those times, and it really bothers me because that's not who I want to be. So it was so beautiful to start the call with Heidi today and know that everything she said, actually when I rewatched the video with you guys just now, it's exactly what was happening, Heidi, between us. It's like Heidi was thinking about Autism Tree and my mother-in-law, and I was 100% feeling it. And that's why I was kind of all over the map. And then I came right to the heart center. And I really feel blessed by that. And I hope that this is extra blessing for you guys too. I want to share 10 things that you could take away from my introduction with Heidi today is just 10 love-filled ways to live from your heart. Ask, what would love do? Let love pervade every conversation. And I do feel that we are pretty successful in doing that, and it's not a struggle. We just all collectively love each child, each family. Treat yourself like gold. I think all of us are such givers. I know everybody in this call gives more than they take. So I'd like to really encourage everybody, treat yourself like gold. I know personally you guys are like gold, and I'm grateful. Thank you for always making the time to be together. And be here now. And I really want to tell everyone, thank you, thank you, thank you. On every single Zoom call, I felt like everyone really is here now, that we all really are present. Become aware of the oneness of love. I never even knew about Zoom before COVID. I don't know if anyone else had, but I've been really, really pleasantly surprised at the weekly Lunch and Learn. I look forward to it. I keep wanting to do a better job with it in the connection and love aspect of it. And I walk away and I actually do feel that oneness of love with everybody. I feel it growing. And I hope that you do too. Here's a great one. Don't obsessively plan. I don't know about you guys, but every plan I've made since COVID has been canceled. Literally, like plane flights, trips, all of it, done. So don't obsessively plan. Make hard choices. And I'm really, really grateful that our team made lots and lots of hard choices. We continue to do so, and we do it fast. We don't spend a lot of time trying to change things we can't. The parameters are what they are, and they're changing all the time. So, we just have to look at what's going on and make a hard decision and not spend too much time on it because it doesn't make sense. Honor your personality quirks. I hope that you hear me every single time we get together to say the personality quirks are 100% what make Autism Tree Project honestly rock, and what make me personally love you guys as a family. I don't want everybody to be the same ever. Bring boundless acceptance to your moment-to-moment experiences. I'm really trying to live that more than ever. I hope you guys are too. Get to know the unconditioned, totally free you. And I think that's like what we can all strive for together. And with that, I really want to say to Heidi how much it's meant knowing you were going to speak today, how much I'm looking forward to learning from you. This is the quote I picked out for you, literally one of our probably top 3 hardest working volunteers in the history of Autism Tree Project. 16 years. The heart of a volunteer is never measured in size, but the depth of the commitment to make a difference in the lives of others. And Heidi, just when I was putting this together, Rebecca told me also the most beautiful story about getting to know you and connecting with you. And I'm sure I could go and talk to so many people. It would be endless at this point, because Heidi, when we looked at all your years of service, really to me, I would give you credit for 10 because you're here right now doing this Lunch and Learn. You've been a big part of the Zoom calls, and when I see you, I see your strength. Even though I know you're going through as much challenge as anyone else, when you're on the Zoom call, I still see the same Heidi that I've always saw since 2010, and that's just this pillar of strength and dedication and love, and I feel like you're always really present too. You are really in the moment, and I cherish that about you. And I look at all these pictures, and I just think like it's really been hard, Heidi, when you went on your big adventure and you've lived on the other side of the coast. We all expect to see you, and to not have you at the core team meetings and all those kind of things is really a really big missing piece of the family. But that is one of my favorite things about these Zoom calls is getting to see you here and valuing just knowing you're taking it all in. And now we get to hear from you today. So I just want to say thank you to being such a blessing to our Hoff family, deeper than I even realized. and to the Autism Tree family. So lots of love for you doing this today, Heidi. Thank you.
Thank you. That was such a nice introduction. I'm almost speechless, so thank you. Just real quickly, a little bit about myself for those of you who I have never met. I have a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. I feel super, super passionate about it. I lived and breathed it for the last 20 years. And like Dana said, I was in California for 24 years, and then this last year moved back to be closer to family in Wisconsin. While I was out there, I was a nanny, which seems very relevant right now in kind of the world we're living in right now. And I was a teacher, and then the last 4 years I was a preschool director. And here it took me a while to kind of find a community that I could really believe in, but I'm working at a head start, and I feel, again, super passionate about it. And we had a tricky go at trying to do like virtual learning with our community, to say the very least. The first month kind of was just checking on the children. We provide the food and the diapers and the wipes for all of our children. So just getting them that genuinely because they wouldn't eat was a process, but we have been able to do that, which I feel really good about, knowing that their basic needs are being met. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about is a lot of parents have asked questions on here about virtual learning and not making sure that their kids are not falling behind. And it's really right now about the social emotional component, and it kind of fits in perfectly with what Dana just shared is just love on your children right now. That's kind of what they need. That's what you need. Be silly with them. The social emotional component, Rebecca, if you want to kind of just go to the next slide, that's really what's important right now. One of my favorite quotes is, "You are your child's first teacher." I think that that's so important at this time. Just really slow down and listen to them. Everybody's life is crazy. There's no rule book for this, so there's no right and wrong. I remember Alex Chacon a couple weeks ago was asking about, screen time. Like, you just can't feel bad about those things right now. We're all just trying to get into some sort of normalcy. The thing that really helped our families that I'm currently working with is to set up a routine. Just to get those kind of daily necessities. Sorry, am I going out of order, Rebecca? Just to get those daily necessities that kind of happen during the school day will still happen for those kids. And you can kind of provide a daily routine. Kids thrive on routine. They have them be part of the routine that you set up. You can set up a daily schedule. Every child is a little bit different. I remember when Tracy Shuckler was talking about the time that her kids wanted to wake up. Like, there's no real rule book about this. And if, 9 o'clock works for your family, then that's when 9 o'clock, that's when your daily routine can start. Everybody's different as far as working. Some families lost their jobs, some families are home, some families are with grandma. So it's kind of different for every family, and you should just kind of keep breathing and figure out what works for your family. And again, get them invested in it. Find out what it is that they need throughout the day. If you still have contact with your teacher, your child's teacher, get their routine. It's not surprising that your child's teacher has a specific daily routine. It's what works for that age of child. And it can be very specific. I have a little daily routine. If you want to, I did this for my niece and nephew. So my brother and sister-in-law both had to go to work. There's no camps open right now. My older nieces are watching them. They've never watched children before. So I kind of set up a very specific routine just to help my older nieces get comfortable with young children, my younger niece and nephew, just to know what to expect. It was kind of like, what do we do? How do we get through this? How do we all enjoy it? It's a crazy time in history. Everyone is stressed, and how do we make the best time of this? This has been, at my work, the number one thing we did before we even got to the curriculum is help each individual family set up a daily routine that's going to work for them. So just a few things on here to point out. Eat breakfast. It's really important. Most schools, the children are eating with their peers and their teachers. So try to sit down and eat with them. There's so much socializing, and you can find out so much information when you are sitting down and having a meal. Even if you're not having real breakfast and you're just drinking your coffee, it's super important just to be sitting with them. Lots of conversation will show up. I think it's important to do independent reading. Again, I put this schedule together for a 5-year-old who's not reading yet. He can read on his own, and that gives you 15 minutes to check your emails, or just to take a breather, or make some phone calls, or kind of whatever you need to do. Then give them some free play time, but try to make it movement, physical movement. I just read an article that high school students are starting to become really depressed, even more so because they don't have any of their summer programs. And there's been a height in depression just because they're not moving, and it's really starting to affect them. So whether that's, taking your dog for a walk, or going and riding your bike, or swimming, whatever you have in your access, going hiking, going down to the beach, however you can be moving, just really get them moving. Another big thing that I found to be super helpful is journaling. I went and bought my nephew a notebook. Obviously, he is not going to be writing down all these thoughts, but even coloring pictures. This is going to be a time in history that people will never forget, and children are never going to forget that. So if you can have a journal of this time, they'll be able to go back and look at those pictures and have a positive memory, as opposed to scary things, the unknown, the not seeing their friends, not seeing their teachers. So even for young children, journaling is super, super powerful, and it's very therapeutic. Again, eating together is important. Quiet time, even if they're not napping, everyone needs downtime. If you're with your children all day, as you have been for months, I know that you all know that quiet time is super important. And the other thing is the arts. So that looks very different, and it can be very different. If you want to go back, Rebecca, to the pictures with Brecken. Before I left San Diego, I went to Brecken's first birthday, and I bought him a bunch of canvases and paint. And then it was a couple months later, I went over there for the day, and I got to paint with him. And I just think that we need to be doing more of this. And it wasn't really about the outcome on the canvas. It was more about the process. And as you can see, he's full of paint, head to toe, but it was such a good day for him. It's art therapy, as most of you guys know, is super important. Play-Doh, again, is in that little picture, should be in your house every day, even for older children. I actually have some Play-Doh at my house. I live by myself. It's very good therapeutic release. So for young children who are living in these times, who don't really understand, have a full grasp of what's going on, why they're away from their teachers, just giving them those outlets, and then familiarity that they've had at school is really important. And it was such a fun day for Brecken and I. The other thing, like, have them be part of the family cleanup, family chores, even at a younger age. It's, again, everyone's stuck at home, and whether it's cleaning up their toys or helping put the clothes away, I think it's super important to have young children as part of the process, part of your family. It's never too early. You can always have them, even if it's, throwing out some trash or something super simple. Just allowing them to be part of the daily routine is super important. The other thing that I have found really helpful in children that I've worked with, whether it was San Diego, I was really fortunate enough to live in Africa for 3 months, and I did this with the children there, is mindful breathing. And I think last week Pablo did mindfulness with you guys. And it's just something that I have found when there's tense moments with children, and it can be throughout the day, if they are still doing Zoom calls and they're super anxious or they don't want to be doing their homework, this is something that you can kind of get them to get them centered again. And it's something that you guys can do together. So my happy place is the beach. So I picked this picture, and we're just going to take a minute right now, and I'm going to kind of talk you through a way to talk to children about mindful breathing. So Rebecca, if you want to play the music, if everybody wants to either look at the picture or close your eyes, and we're just going to breathe for a minute. So you'll just want to have them sit them down, and then you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to breathe in and out. And you kind of do that for a count of 4. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Rebecca, you'll let us know when a minute's over?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So that's just something that you guys can, when you're at home and you're in those moments, just have them sit down. I like to count with young children just until they get used to it. Like I said, with my kids in Africa, I did it every day for 3 months. By the end of the time, I wasn't counting. It just differs on the children, differs on where you are. Lisa asked me yesterday what age. I don't think that I would do it with babies. and just get them into a routine of knowing that that's one of the tools that they can use when they're feeling overwhelmed. I do it. I know the first month of this was really intense for me. And I, 43 years old, and I didn't understand it and what was going on. And it was a really good, useful tool for me. So I encourage you to share with children that you know. And that's all I've got for you.
Heidi, thank you so much. I love that minute of mindfulness, and I love the idea of using that with our kiddos and ourselves, regardless of the age. I know that that's something that Marilee talked about. Marilee, wave your hand. Marilee was one of our past speakers, and she talked about co-regulation, right, Marilee? Like how you have to be co-regulated, which is really similar to what Dana shared earlier about heart intelligence. And how really to maintain our center in chaos means releasing love, compassion, and kindness. That's what he was talking about in that video, which I feel like is exactly everything you're talking about, Heidi. I definitely want to open it up now for anybody that has questions or comments for Heidi. You can put it in the chat, or you can wave your hand and unmute yourself. Karen Wright shared in the chat, I love the journal and preserving the art and thoughts of this difficult time, especially for children. Otto said, I always appreciate when I get to be part of the schedule making choices. It makes it seem like more of a democracy and less of a dictatorship. Absolutely.
Yeah, in children and in any classroom that I've ever worked in, I always, within the first week of school is you set up the rules and you set up the routine and you make them part of it, and then they take ownership to it. And, the first week of that routine, it might not go smoothly, but if you stick to it, they thrive on that routine. And yes, the more you can let them be a part of it, the easier everyone's life will be.
Yeah, and I have to say, Otto, that's such a good point. Even with like my 2-year-old, like I remember when we were making our visual clock, this is back in March, and Dana and I were just starting to respond to parents panicking about the schools were even closed yet. And I bought a wall clock, and I had Brecken help me make the visual choices for the day. And what I did is I printed out a bunch of little pictures of him, and then he got to choose which one he wanted for snack time, meal time, outdoor play, nap time. So I knew what was going to go in there, but he kind of had the choice. And like Dana always said, to like help empower the kiddo even at a really young age.
And it's just giving them respect too, is giving them that voice, even when they don't necessarily have the right words for it.
Absolutely. And then Jeff, you shared, I used to thrive on routines as a kid. Of course, as I've gotten older, I've gotten to be a little more flexible, although it's never easy. Another good form of therapy is bubble wrap. It calms me down. That's Jeff. I love that. I love that Heidi said she has Play-Doh in her house at all times. I literally have Play-Doh sitting right here on my kitchen table because I play it like every day with Brecken. It's like part of the kitchen table area.
Again, in any classroom I've ever been, that was just standard. It was always available. It's so necessary. And yeah, it's part of my life right now too. Yeah,
but I love the idea of bubble wrap, Jeff. That's a great one. And great for our kiddos too, as long as, they're old enough. Yep. But I love that idea because it is very self-soothing and calming for sure. And then John Hickey shared, I don't really have a mantra that I know of unless time to get up counts. And John, I definitely think that counts. Absolutely. That's a perfect mantra for all of us during COVID. I mean, my mantra was keep moving forward. That's one of my favorite mantras, actually, from an old Disney movie about Walt Disney himself. That was one of his favorite quotes, keep moving forward. And it just helps me kind of like focus on, no matter if it's chaos or if it's peaceful, you just keep moving forward, and then eventually you'll get to the goal that you want. Michelle Rowley just shared, love this so much, Heidi. This is so necessary to teach our kids coping strategies and mindfulness at an early age. So yes, absolutely. Thank
And
you.
there's so many different ways out there. And the way that I found it actually was through Goldie Hawn. She is one of my favorite actresses, but I years ago found that she has been doing this with kids in school for years, and she has a whole institute on mindfulness. And it started with me. I started doing it and then just saw the differences. And I think when you can get really behind something and then show it in who you are. I'm slowly teaching my teachers now at the Head Start. It's something very unfamiliar with them, but I think even more so in the community that I'm serving now, it's necessary. But yeah, there's so many different ways you can find and learn about it. Goldie Hawn is my resource.
We'll put that in the follow-up. We'll put that in the follow-up email as well, Heidi. The Goldie Hawn resource.
Yeah, the Mindful Institute is amazing resource.
I just have to share about Heidi too, because if, as many of you may or may not know, we work with many Head Starts here in San Diego. We've been screening Head Start kiddos since 2014, and it was just completely ironic. I don't know what the right word is, but when Heidi got a job as a center director of a Head Start in Wisconsin, after looking for a job for many months and then finding that job to be the right fit for her, we were on a call yesterday doing a tech run through for today. And it's just interesting because, we serve Head Starts here in San Diego, from El Cajon to San Isidro to Fallbrook, all over. And we serve, to be a Head Start family, you have to be making an income under the poverty level for a family of 4. And Heidi's serving those same families, but it's very different where Heidi is. Like what she said earlier, how those families rely on them for diapers, wipes, food. So that was like their immediate concern when COVID hit, is how are we going to feed our families, get them diapers, get them wipes? How are we going to do it? And Heidi, I just have to share that it's so special because, you really are serving one family at a time, making one schedule for one family at a time, and every family is different. And I feel like that's the heart of what we're doing also at Autism Tree, and what you did with us side by side for a decade at Autism Tree.
All of my skills come from you guys.
I would say maybe a little bit, but no, that's all you.
A lot of my skills.
Otto also said, Rebecca, thank you for sharing. You said for bubble wrap for younger kiddos, taping it to the ground and having them walk or crawl on it.
Yeah.
Also calms down with blowing bubbles. Yes. With my son, blowing bubbles, we do it all the time, but we haven't tried the bubble wrap yet. So thanks to Jeff and Rebecca, I'm definitely going to be trying that with him. I think he'll love it. And then Otto said finger painting with vanilla pudding and food coloring, a rice pit with colored rice, and finding tiny toys hidden inside the rice pit, and hiding letter beads and Play-Doh and spell words. That's all. That's
super great tactile stress relievers.
Yes, absolutely.